What's up, agents, and welcome back to a very special Division video. Probably the most special Division video that has ever been uploaded to my channel. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. I'm not going to spend too long talking here. I'm going to let the video speak for itself. But basically what you're going to get to see is some very special time that I got when I visited the Massive Studios with Yannick. I got to sit down with Yannick one-on-one, ask him a few questions, kind of dig into the division a little bit, and maybe a side of the division that you don't necessarily see on a day-to-day basis. I absolutely was fanboying all the way through it. I mean, I have followed the division from the alpha, from the announcement of the first game, and I'm sure many of you have as well. So to sit down with Yannick, who's been with the game for over 10 years, was a pretty incredible experience, and yeah, an absolute honor to be allowed to even do it. So Yannick, if you're watching, thank you so much for your time. It was I just watched it back for the first time after about 4 weeks ago now, and I sat here with that same smile on my face that you'll see in the video, that when I was trying to get the interview questions out, that there was this big smile on my face, all the way through it, because I couldn't actually quite believe I was sat next to Yannick, doing an interview when I usually just sit and watch him on, State of the Game or, any of the division lives that we have recently. So yeah, pretty crazy. I've talked enough anyway, so I really do hope you enjoy the interview. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below, as always. But yeah, enjoy the footage, and yeah, I hope you like it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Right, okay, so first of all, nice and easy question.
Okay.
Tell everybody who you are and what you're responsible for.
Oh gosh. Okay, so my name is Yannick Banchero. I'm the creative director on the Division 2. I've been at Massive and on the Division for past 10 years. And my role as creative director is basically to kind of give the overall vision for everything that has to go with the game. So that is the DLC, but also every piece of content, everything we do with seasons, and all the new things that are added to the game.
How long have you worked here now? How long's it been?
A bit more than 10 years.
10 years. So
yeah.
Over that 10 years, what really has been your favourite part? If you had to think one part, what would be your favourite part?
My favorite part?
Your favourite part. Could be anything.
I think my best memory is the launch of Division 1.
Right.
And that's where you know that I've been here for some time. But that one night, when we pressed the button and we launched the game, and we saw, the activity curves going up and people coming in and looking at the reactions and the queue at the first activation terminal in the game and all of that. That's one of my best memories.
So talking about the game a little bit, but if there was one thing that you could include in the current game in Division 2, and this can be absolutely anything, it can be no technical limitations or anything like that, what would you include? If you had an idea you could put in tomorrow, what would that be?
Oh, that's
and this is not saying it's going to happen. Like, it could be
that's putting me on the spot. Okay, what if I could include anything on the game right now? What would that be?
For yourself, though, not for
for myself.
You.
Yeah, for myself. Maybe pets.
Pets, yeah.
Yeah, I think like having a companion pet that I could, like a dog or something that I could
Picture
have with me, and
for
keep it out of danger. Just just to pick up the loot for me. That
That
would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Brilliant. So talking about, obviously, I've got quite a community that's very passionate, and they often vocalize their feelings. So generally across the board, how much player feedback that you guys see, what kind of influence does that have on kind of design changes, maybe gameplay changes, or content that you create? How much influence does all that feedback really have?
Well, it's always a tough balance, right? Because like we always like to think of, we make our decisions with three pillars. One of them is community or player feedback. One of them is what does data tell us, and then what is our own gut feeling as professionals. And you mix those three together, and then you try to, sometimes you lean towards one, the other. Best case scenario is when all three align. Yes. Sometimes they don't. And then it's actually kind of my job or part of my job to decide, okay, which way do we go? But most of the time, I mean, we try to prioritize community feedback and players' reaction and players' comments, because at the end of the day, what matters is for people to have fun playing the game. If they're telling us they're not having fun, it's it's not the right attitude to try to convince them. Hey, you should be having fun. You're playing it wrong. So it's like we are constantly on the lookout for feedback, and we're always making adjustments based on that. So it's really a big part of what we do.
Great, thank you. So Division 2 has had a bit of a bumpy lifestyle. Some of the development cycle of the game was going to go away when at the end of Failout and things like that. So there's been a lot of different people worked on the team as well throughout that kind of time. So what has been the most significant kind of technical hurdles that you guys have had with all them changes that have happened? Was there anything that you guys have overcome that's been particularly difficult because of all that stuff that happened?
Well, I think honestly, it's the main challenge for us is how do we keep maintaining this game? How do we keep adding to this game when we're operating a game that is many years old, that was made on old technology in a way. And that was not necessarily built to last that long. So in a way, it's almost a miracle that the game still works, but that's also the credit to the work of the team.
I think we're all happy about that as well.
But it's and that has to be one of the main challenge. It's not about bumpy ride or anything like that. It's really just like how do we keep adding more to the game without breaking everything else. And that's that's an effort that constantly requires a lot of attention for us to make sure that the whole thing doesn't crumble under its own weight. And it takes sometimes a moment for us to pause, to step back, and to do a bunch of improvements and cleaning up. I know when we did Project Resolve last year, that was kind of this idea of okay, we need a moment to do some sanitizing a bit the foundations of the game. So sometimes we need to do that, but it's a constant effort to make sure that we're not breaking everything.
Yep, great. So can you tell us a bit more about your approach to seasonal content and kind of how far you plan ahead? Because obviously it's had a bit of a revamp recently, so kind of how far ahead are you looking before it gets kind of dropped and released to us all?
But working on a live game, you actually always work on a lot of parallel tracks at the same time. So I think that's the biggest challenge. It's to keep sanity when you're working on things, like a lot of things that all have different timelines. But we're always a few steps ahead. So the season that's going to come in the next couple of months is pretty much already done, and then we are already working on the one after that and the one after that. We usually try to have about 1 year of visibility ahead of us, at least in outline, and then the closer we get to it, the more we start working in the fine details of what it means. But usually we work year by year.
Great. So I'd like to know what your thoughts are on the current game's meta when it comes to the gear, lesser used gear, R&K 511 and things like that. And also I was going to put a little bit of a drop in there that the True Patriot rework, is this really ever going to happen? It's something people have been excited for so long. It's such a fan favourite set. So if I didn't ask, I'd probably get in trouble.
It will happen. It will happen. We just need the time to get down to it. But there are some ideas, and we have people excited in the team as well to actually get to revisit it. But honestly, I think we have such a luxury with the Division 2 that there is actually variety in what you can do. The fact that there's not one meta, one build that dominates everything. There are some builds that are stronger than others, but then there's a lot of other ways to have fun that are maybe not meta but still function.
Yeah, of course.
And of course, when you work on a live game, you want that meta to kind of move. You don't want to hit perfect balance because then perfect balance is boring and it becomes stale. So I think we still need to work with stuff that is underperforming and look at the items that people don't use and see how do we actually bump those up to try to bring them back. So it's not just about always adding new things on top of it, but also taking the things that are unpopular and see why are they not being used and what can we do about them. So we did a big balancing pass a couple of days ago, and we're still looking at balance. And there's other things we want to look at. But yeah, I think that's the fun part. It's like all these small tweaks we can do, and sometimes just one small change, and then suddenly something gets a completely new
from the
life.
least used to the most used.
Yeah.
Yep. Is there ever any thought around that about sunsetting gear and just taking it out completely, or do you always prefer to tweak?
No, we prefer to tweak. We don't really want to take anything away. Like we want to make sure that the stuff you've worked towards, we are not going to take that from you. So it's no, we don't want to sunset.
Correct. So with the introduction of the new knee pads, the Turmoil, and they've got a talent on them, which obviously leans back to kind of Gear 1.0 days. Is that something we're likely to see more of with natural gear progression, or is it just kind of a one-time thing for that event? Because obviously the previous ones were just like an effect, the snow effect. They didn't actually have any, on control in the game, whereas these actually have some kind of control in the game.
Well, the thing is, when we are doing named items, there's only so many variations we can do with the rule set we used to have, which was just okay. It can do, it can have a talent. It's just going to be a stronger version, or it can have a stat. It's going to be a stronger version of that stat. And there's a moment where we run out of options, so we wanted to kind of enlarge the pool a bit and allow ourselves to do a different type of named items that completely change the behavior of an item. That's what we did with the Lexington as well, for example. Took a rifle, made it an assault rifle. So with that in mind, I think we're going to see more of those kind of items. But doesn't mean we're going to start putting talents on all type of gear, but like seeing, other named knee pads that will have talents, for example. Yeah, we may see more of these kind of things.
Great. The new seasonal events that we've had, the April Fool's one especially, the Easter one with collecting the eggs, it's kind of been fresh, really. It's kind of stuff we've never had before. Are there more plans for events like that going forward?
If people like them, yes. So you tell me.
I think the Easter event, the 100 eggs was good for day 1 and day 2, maybe not for day 3 and day 4.
No, absolutely. We are learning from all of that. But yes, it is an intention to really, we've talked a lot about how we want to add more events, more freshness to the game, and this is one way to do that. It's to also try to sometimes break the rules, to bring fun, to kind of like not take ourselves too seriously, and to allow ourselves to experiment with some ideas. And do a bit of throwaway work of things we try, and if it works, we will reuse it. Otherwise, we won't. So yeah, I think there will be more of those. Judging also by the overall reaction and the good it does to the game.
Yeah, the April Fool's event was brilliant because not only was it fun, it gave people exotic components. Exactly, so it was a great idea. So I played the game, forever at this point, and every time a season goes by, I feel like we are naturally getting stronger and stronger and stronger with expertise. Do you ever fear that the game's getting a little bit too easy? Is that a tough to act kind of balance?
It is absolutely getting too easy. It is, for sure. I mean, power creep is a thing. So yes, we know that, but overall, the general population is getting stronger because the longer people spend on the game, the more powerful they become. But also, the people that are the most powerful can become even more powerful than that. And the game doesn't necessarily keep up. So this is an actual problematic, and this is something we want to look at and tackle. Bringing master difficulty was, for example, one way to try to bring a new type of challenge to make sure that for those that are have completely mastered the game, there is still something to look forward to. That's going to at least pack a bit of a punch. But yes, that is a problematic we're going to start looking at, is how do we make sure that the game remains interesting for everyone. Even if you've unlocked everything in the game and mastered everything in the game, there should still be a challenge.
Brilliant. So talking now a little bit about the DLC that's going to come. So players are very excited to perhaps see a new area and get invested in that. But are there any plans to revisit maybe Warlords? There's kind of no incentive to ever really go back there and even less so now that we can do level 30 to 40 in DC. Is there any kind of plans to kind of make it a little bit more interesting, or any rewards to go and do things in the unused areas, I guess?
Yeah, I can't say that we have plans right now, but I would love for us to actually be able to revisit that space and give it another life, like try to bring it, to give it a bit more relevance and use in the end game, and give reasons for people to go back there. Right now it kind of exists as an alternative. There's stuff you can do in DC or you can do there, but why would you fast travel there if I can do everything in DC anyway? So we would need to look at that, but we don't have any concrete plans right now.
Great. So I'm going to mention the S word now. I'm going to mention survival. So from the first game, and it's still a success now. People still play it. It's got a really big following. But what I really want to know is, was it ever really considered for Div 2? Was it ever on the table to perhaps be a thing? Or, because it's kind of stood the time for replayable content for the first game. And that kind of says to me that maybe it probably was considered because it's still being played now. But was it ever really a consideration for this version of the game?
We also have very fond memories of survival, right? So the players talk about it all the time. The community constantly talks about how they would love to see survival in the Division 2. Obviously, these are discussions we also have on a regular basis on would it be a good idea? Is now the time? And how would we do that? But it's still not something that we are planning to do. But yeah, there's been multiple conversations in the past on whether or not we should do it.
So with the DLC just around the corner, is there anything particular that excites you about this DLC that's coming?
What excites me?
Yes.
Going back to Brooklyn and being able to, just having a new map, having a new space, having new missions, having a new story, all of that just feels great because we haven't been able to deliver on new spaces like that for many years. And I think it's gonna be a great experience for everyone. For me, what I'm just looking forward to, honestly, is just being able to retrace my steps from the Division 1 tutorial area. The fact that I'm gonna be able to go through those streets and I want to follow the exact same path and re-explore all those spaces, but with the new, the transformation that happens since then, that's going to be the first thing I do as a player anyway.
I think a lot of people will do, trying to visit the areas, especially from the trailer from the first game, stuff from places like that. They'll want to see what they look like now and things like that. So is there anything that you want to tell anybody about the DLC now that they might not know?
Well, they might not know. No, but it's again.
You're allowed to.
It's just it's such a great time now. I'm actually really so excited about all of this because it's we have the DLC coming. We have a lot of cool things coming to the game. We have a whole year 7 that's gonna come behind that. Now is such a good time to actually come back to the Division and to play the game. And being able to finally have this DLC out there, to have people play it, to be able to play it myself as a player, I think it's gonna be amazing. There's a bunch of secrets with that DLC. I don't want to go into spoiling anything, but there are secrets in this DLC to uncover that I think are going to make people pretty excited. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the reactions to that.
I had a question I forgot to ask earlier on, so I'm just going to nip back to it before I hit you with the last question. With regards to difficulty, is it ever a chance to be in the pipeline to maybe add legendary difficulty to the raids, or is there any tweaks around that might actually happen? I know it's old content now, but it might bring a bit of life to it.
Is there a chance? Yes, there is a chance, but we will see legendary difficulty to other places
as well. Okay, great. What are the chances of us getting the Chinese dinosaur suit?
I don't know.
No pressure.
We'll see about that.
It's very 50-50, I think, people that want it.
Yes,
but,
I think some people really want to see it. Some other people might be really upset about it.
The Green Army Man's leading the way for it to happen.
That was the first test, the first exploration to see how people react to things that are a bit more out there. But it's still a long way from the dino suit, so we will see.
That's everything. Thanks very much for your time, Yannick. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.